Here's how to use Notion to organize your visual inspiration. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Jenny Famularo-Cano. I am a graphic designer helping other creative professionals organize ideas into work that flows. As a creative, I tend to look at a lot of things for inspiration, whether it be things on social media or my friends' work or even the clouds. I tend to also get lost in all of the things that I'm trying to capture. So what's great about Notion is that it can be on its very base level a tool for capturing notes and just like words and typing, but I've effectively been able to turn it into an inspiration gallery for almost everything that I am inspired by. This is my visual inspiration board. I've created a database and I've used gallery view to for viewing all of my inspiration or things that I've captured that really inspire me. When you click on one of the details, if you click on one of these images, let's click on illustration winners, you see that I've added a title, illustration winners, and I've included tags for how to draw people because we know that drawing people is really hard. So I love seeing how other people tend to handle it. So I've added a tag for illustration people. There's a lot of posts in this Com Arts collection where they've utilized colors. And so I've included a summary here also where it is the winners of 2021 illustration competition for communication arts. And sometimes I like to write little blurbs about what I'm looking at. So it's kind of like having a little conversation with myself about what I'm looking at, and I'm just a little extra layer to observing things. I also include a link back to where I've seen it. So in case I do reference this, I'd love to always reference the source and credit the artist as much as possible. But most of the time I use it just for myself. And what's great about Notion is that you're able to bring in a lot of images and organize them in really beautiful ways. They automatically create things like columns and you can stack them together and you have them full width. It's great. And you can also add things like captions, which I absolutely love whenever I'm organizing my notes. And it just becomes a really beautiful collection of content for myself. What I like about using this versus something like Pinterest is great, but what Notion does really well is that, for one, it doesn't have ads, and two, I'm able to filter it down. So you've seen all of the tags that I've done. For the ones that I use very frequently, I can turn that into part of my menu where I filter based off of like the typography tag. And then I've included all these like different inspiration of typography. I can drop it down to like color palettes that I think are really cute and nice that I might want to use in a future project. Also, I have one for clouds because I also love clouds and things that remind me of clouds throughout all of my inspiration. So these are just a few of the filters that I've been able to turn into menu items, but you can also filter through things that aren't in the menu. Like say if I just feel like looking for, let's see, like illustrations, I guess. Yeah, you can change this filter to like tags and then change this to illustration. So that way you can see all the different illustration tags. Or if I've included any landscapes, I haven't filled that out yet. Fashions are another one that I'm like really fascinated by because of the silhouettes. And it can really be as flexible or as simple as you want it to be. I like to throw things in here that I find really interesting, whether it be inspiration that I've seen online, some of my friends' work that are doing really great things. There's also things like pop culture references, things that I just find in my day-to-day life that are really inspiring that I can turn into a project in the future. The great thing about doing this is that you can include not only things that you've clipped from the internet or found online, but you can also use real-world inspiration to really fill out the things that you're looking at. And so what I've done is I've also added another post about this red wing pottery. We went to a museum over in Minnesota and like they had illustrations on the pottery and it was just part of this little part of the museum. And it felt so special. Even just like weird things that happen that we've come across that are just like, what? Like, what is that? Why does that exist? Or where did that come from? It's almost like I want to tell someone, but I don't have anyone to tell quite yet or show, so I'll save this for later and maybe I'll use it in the future for something. What this does is that when you're capturing a series of images, it makes you a little bit more in tune with things that inspire you or make you feel something that benefit from remembering, so that it becomes a part of your work and a part of like your practice in the future. My question for you is, what are some things that you tend to notice? Let me know in the comments below. What I like to use all of this inspiration capture for, there's a lot of notes here. You can see there's like hundreds of different visual things to look at. I tend to get pretty lost in capturing so many different things if I can't filter it. Another way that I like to bring everything together is using relation between multiple databases. For example, I have Wes Wilson here as an item of inspiration, and it's linked to another database called Visual Notes. And when I click on this page, the note is called psychedelic type. I click on that. It's part of this other database called Visual Notes. So I'm gonna click into this. This was essentially the content of a psychedelic type workshop that we hosted, and I wanted to include different examples of psychedelic type. So I use multiple notes from my looking database to essentially become the sources of the footnotes of my presentation. And we had essentially walked through this note directly, which was great. It was really casual, but I was able to capture different ideas, different quotes, and also include the images from the notes. But I can go back to the source if I ever wanted to at the very top. What this does is that it narrows the focus. I'm able to create a summary. I'm able to take additional notes on my experience with psychedelic type and how I've been able to use it in other projects. But doing this really helps me understand and synthesize a lot of the information. Because we're looking at inspiration on the daily, sometimes too much, I always need something to kind of filter down and make things a little bit simpler so that there are fewer things to look at. When we look at all of the visual notes together, there's substantially less than the number of different inspiration types. Like, I have very few of my visual notes because these are just something that I'm starting to compile. It's very helpful for me to just like click into one of these items and just stay focused and build this out. So the visual notes are essentially going to be a lot more valuable the more that I add to it, the more that I build with it, and the more commentary that I contribute. It also creates some understanding with me that I'm able to type about it and just respond to what I'm seeing versus constantly consuming with no action taken. If you are interested in learning more about how I like to use Notion, check out this other video where I talk about how I organize my design projects using Notion. Until the next video, I will see you later.